sometimes maybe come from like if you're gonna make that statement, maybe understand what you're talking about before you do.
Yeah, maybe take a minute.
Right. Yeah. Maybe just like read a book about it first, and then be like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, so that was like pervasive during that time because it was I don't exactly know the historical context as to what started it. We did an episode on the deal with the devil narrative mythology, and that was one of those things where I did actually look into it a little bit, and it was the time of the week where men were supposed to be going to church, and instead they were going to these like essentially nightclubs. And so
Right.
they associated it with demonic activity because they're like, oh, that's the devil's music, because they were trying to get them to come back to church. And so it just
Yeah.
like
They're all
developed into
butthurt.
this
That
thing.
showing
Yeah,
up to the right club.
exactly. So it must have like developed somehow similar to that, whereas like somebody had an experience with Dungeons and Dragons, or maybe they thought it was similar to like a Ouija board or something, and they're like, it's of the devil. Anyway,
Yeah.
so they play with it.
Yeah.
And it plays in the narrative expertly. It's great.
Well, you also were saying, I'm stealing all your points today, apparently. We have like other questions we're going to get to, and we're just going to shoot the breeze because we've not had a chance to talk about this yet. But I'm just kind of still marveling over some of the things you said earlier.
Oh, thanks.
And like you said that, or what you wondered if maybe they were using that basketball player as like a televangelist insert.
Oh,
and,
yes.
and as like symbolically. Because it would make sense, because he does leverage the Bible against the Hawkins community.
He comes in and quotes Romans or something.
Yeah.
He's like,
I think of this verse, so that's why we got to go and
take out the Hellfire Club because they're a cult. But it's interesting because stuff is happening, and it's fascinating to see how people, when they can't explain something, they will offer explanations that best suit the situation, right?
Right.
So during that time, when they had that Dungeons and Dragons scare, we'll call it, these things were happening, and they're like, well, there's a club that plays Dungeons and Dragons, and I've heard this stuff about Dungeons and Dragons, so perhaps they are connected. Like, perhaps they're what make these people die in these horrific ways.
Correlation is always causation.
That's exactly that is pure logic right there. So, but it gets the town into a hype, and that's the thing, is mob mentality is always worse than singular mentality. So, like, a single person using logic and kind of working through a situation is probably a lot more effective than everybody coming together and allowing the worst of fears to come to life.
Yeah.
But he plays on that because he has a personal investment in the situation. His girlfriend has died, and she was with someone he distrusts, and he can't accept the truth that she might have been there for drugs, and therefore he's going to attribute the most likely scenario in his mind, and he's going to get everybody riled up in order to jump on his cause, because that's the way he can most effectively reach the conclusion that he wants. And
yes,
in his mind, this conclusion is just killing this kid,
right,
who may or may not have anything to do with it, but it doesn't matter to him because he's emotionally invested. So
yeah, just Eddie must die.
Eddie must die. That
He's
is
the leader of the Hellfire Club, so he must die.
That's it. So let's jump into the questions we have for one another.
Okay.
So you initially, let's just jump back and forth, I think.
Yeah, back and forth.
So I will do my first.
Okay.
You initially were apprehensive about watching season 4, but based on your presuppositions or your experiences with season 2 and 3 the first time, what won you over in season 4 specifically? Because we've already talked about 2 and 3, but what won you over in season 4? Like, what was the thing that really did it for you?
Well, it's like a combination of things. I was about to say a bunch of teenagers get killed, but that sounds terrible.
After we just talked about the Dungeons and Dragons things. Okay, go ahead.
Well, it's more like, so some teenagers get hunted down in the beginning, a la slasher style. It's like Freddy Krueger coming after him, basically. I mean, it's not quite in a dream, but like he puts them in a trance state and then kills them in their mind, and then they die in real life in this horrific way. So, okay, what was interesting about that, though, is it just came out with some real teeth. It was just like, we're going to start killing people. It was like, whoa.
It set the stakes right away.
Yeah, because like the Stranger Things has a history of killing off characters that we love, but they're usually very reluctant to do that with like the main cast. They're kind of like, well, I don't know, want to touch that. And in this one, I was on like just hot water on multiple occasions where I was like, oh snap, this character legitimately could die now. Oh no, like that's crazy.
Yeah.
So I was very invested in the characters for sure. So I think they established that really well. Of just like, nope, there's a villain in this season, and he's very dangerous. Like And so I think they earned that villain. I think the actor who played him was awesome.
Oh yeah.
He did such a great. I heard, I was reading up too. I don't think they did anything to alter his voice when he's like in the monster
They
form.
probably made it a little echoey or whatever, and that's about
They
it.
might have done that,
Yeah.
yeah. But like you can like see him online, like just doing the voice. I was like,
Wow,
so
that's
he's
cool.
just,
Okay.
yeah, that's some serious commitment just to get in all that makeup and everything, and then do the voice and then act on top of everything. So he really brought it. I thought he was great. We say the full spoilers, by the way?
Here we are, full spoilers.
Okay,
Yes,
full
I've said
spoilers,
it.
because I'm gonna be getting into some other stuff. So that was a big one that won me over initially, but the latter half I think also really delivered. I really loved the stuff that happened with Elle. I loved her arc. That was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And the ending was interesting. I don't know if I was quite. I do want to talk to you about this because I'm curious to hear what your thoughts. Because it seemed like you were like, oh, the ending was like amazing, and like Vecna's plan was so interesting. So that's going to be my question to you, because it's not that I didn't think it was interesting, but it felt like he was just like great villain status. He was like classic villain from like an 80s style villain, like a Darth Vader character or something like that. So he didn't feel like he was bringing anything all that new, but I didn't feel like he needed to either. I felt like he was plenty threatening. He put his money where his mouth was, and then he was the rest was just like fitting for the story that it was telling. But it wasn't like his motivation was like, whoa, I never thought of it that way. It was just kind of like, oh, I feel like I've seen this motivation in a villain before. So
Okay.
tell me a little bit about Vecna, assuming I've answered your question adequately.
I think you have.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So you're asking what I liked about him?
Yeah, like what made Vecna so compelling?
Well, okay. So for one, I liked that he had kind of this duality of what he was before and then what he became.
Okay.
So there's that. I also liked how you recontextualized the rest of the seasons as to what was happening,
Oh.
and it kind of added some depth to
Okay.
that. Because you don't really know anything about the Mind Flayer. You don't really know anything about the Demogorgon. But those are things that are tangible, right? But
Mhm.
now that you've put a mind behind them and a motivation,
Yeah.
it added a little bit more to the other seasons, just indirectly. But the other thing I liked is that they kind of went away from just opening the gates, and now Vecna's doing it himself. And I thought the
Mm.
way that they did that was really interesting because it played into multiple different things. For one, it was playing on the inspirations that made him what he was, right? Because he's attacking people in their minds. He's someone that's from the upside down, attacking people in the real world. So like it had that slasher feel to it, that Freddy Krueger feel to it,
Mhm.
but it was also accomplishing something narratively. So he was opening gates through trauma, and then the trauma
Yeah.
was something that's shared through all the characters that you've experienced with from seasons 1 to 3 already. So it just kind of tied everything up into a really nice bow. But then it also had something personally that affected Elle, which I also really liked.
Okay.
Because she has a personal investment in it, even though she doesn't know it at first. She finds that out later, and then it gives more depth to her character because she has the trauma of what caused it in the first place, but then she remembers everything and probably has some kind of blame for herself for a lot of what is going on now because she's like, well, I kind of created him ish
Yeah.
indirectly,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
also Papa and all that kind of stuff, which we'll get into later. But
Hmm.
yeah, so I mean, his like motivations aren't super they're not like jaw dropping. Like it wasn't
destroy the world and it'll be beautiful.
exactly. Yeah, it's pretty generic, but I mean,
all right.
but based on the things that they're trying to do with Stranger Things, that is something that would exist in that universe.
I see.
So he fit perfectly within the puzzle they had created, and then he just filled all these boxes that were they were so fun.
Yeah, like if you had like a villain audition,
Right.
he would have
That's the
checked
one.
most of the boxes. Yeah, I see that. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Satisfying that puzzle.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So, what did you not like about this season, or is there anything you didn't like?
Well, throw me your Vecna question if we could stay on
we'll
him
just
for a
stay there.
minute.
Okay. So, what
Yeah.
did you think of him then?
Yeah, because I do want to comment on what you said about how he's like opening the gates through trauma. Because that's the other thing that I think really attracted me to this season is it wasn't just a symbol anymore for like there being trauma for these kids or whatever.
Right.
It's like now that trauma is being harnessed and wielded against them.
Right. Now it's important to the narrative.
Right.
Yeah.
Now it matters. So the fact that and the part that okay, so this is a big spoiler, but the part that got me the most in this season was when Vecna goes after Nancy because it came out of nowhere, and as soon as it happened, I was like, "Oh, that's because of Barb." Gosh darn it, I forgot.
And they knew you did.
Exactly. They knew that we forgot, and I was like, "How's Nancy doing?" Because she's always doing fine, but now it's like too late. He's got her in his clutches.
Right.
Oh gosh, so that was great, and it was just this kind of larger picture about how many of these characters are really struggling with this stuff. And then it gives it this somber, harsh edge that the villain is wielding that against them. It's like, that's awful.
Right.
Especially because they're like teenagers. Like they're not, they're not equipped to handle this much emotional pain for so long. So I thought that was a really compelling element to him. It made him like really threatening and terrifying. I've not seen a lot of slasher films, but I feel like the motivations are not nearly.
I don't think they really give him.
Yeah, it's like I don't feel like there is. Is there like? Doesn't Jason Voorhees? He's just like a psycho who kills teenagers at a camp, right?
I haven't seen enough of them, so
Okay.
I could not answer that question. But I think most of them are just more concerned about making him scary rather than giving him a backstory. Because these are '80s films; these aren't made for the millennials like what they
I know
would be
there's
today.
like 10,000 sequels, and they eventually start getting into backstory
Sure.
stuff, but it's like insane. He's like from space or something like that.
There is a space film. I don't know what they did with that one, but there is one that deals with him in space.
Okay, so I could just be wrong, and maybe I need to go watch slasher films to like understand like the deep intricacies of them. But I was under the impression they were more just like evil characters,
Yeah.
and they were targeting like a youthful person, which then makes it really scary because of like just the concept of like a youthful person not being like well equipped to deal with that. So it being like a great challenge that they have to overcome. But it's a horror film, so they're not gonna be able to overcome it.
Sure.
But in this case, it's like it's like deepened and enriched based on the fact that it's like, well, we're really invested in these characters,
Yeah.
and it's for the long haul. It's a TV show.